Hello again, BookTube. I'm coming at you with my first ever mail haul video. It's very exciting. I just did the BookTube newbie tag, and I will now show you the books that I got. As I mentioned in the BookTube newbie tag, this is the reason I'm starting this channel, because I was coming back from this local bookshop, which is called Read Books. It'll be backwards, but if you're in Birmingham, Alabama, go to Read Books, because the guy who owns it, his name is Jim Reed, and he's super kind and friendly. We had a good conversation. Yeah, it's a great place. Anyways, I'm really excited about this. I've never really done a book haul. I've never gone to a bookshop to get books in this way. Normally I would go for one specific book, but I decided to do some Christmas shopping. So here's what I got. I have some stuff for myself and some stuff for friends and family. The first two that I'll show you are classics. Most of these are classics, actually, and they are Kidnapped and Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I am really excited about both of these. Mark Richardson, over at Richardson Reads, said in his, I think, my top 10 favorite authors video, or something along those lines, that Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson, shown here backwards, is one of his favorite books ever, and that he had I think a really small copy that he kept as a kid, and it was one of his favorite books. And I saw this in the bookshop, and it was also very small. And I thought, we can be soul bonded if I have another small version of Kidnapped. So I'm really excited to read this. And of course, Treasure Island. And Treasure Island I'm really excited for, because I, like I mentioned earlier in my, I had the book here actually. BookTube newbie tag, I love Moby Dick, and I read Typee by Herman Melville after that. And I loved it, and I have the itch for seafaring adventures now. This copy I was drawn to because the pages have this beautiful amber color to them. It doesn't show up so well. You can kind of see it on the sides. They actually have a beautiful, like, almost as if they're sun-soaked quality to them. And part of it just fell out. So, I mean, used bookstore, so it goes. So I'm really excited to read this too, because it's apparently just one of the classics of children's maybe teen literature. And if you can't already tell just by my enthusiasm for the books, I am a person who loves the physical book and has the romantic yada thing about them. I think that it's okay to have whatever philosophy you would like with books. You can be the hardline ebook reader. It's all about the text. Don't care about the book at all. But I personally do like both, of course. I don't just get the book just to have and never read. I would like to have a balance of enjoying the pages, the smell, oh my God, and especially just the fusion of the great book, but also a great edition. That makes me very happy. It makes me want to pick it up. So those two I'm very excited about. The next one I'll go with this one. This is a contentious book somewhat here on BookTube, and it is a beautiful old copy that is very minimal, and it's Ulysses by James Joyce. I have, of course, never read this, and it has to be read. What I've heard of it, well, really what I'll say of it is that a friend of mine had read me a passage from it once, and I thought it was so flavorful in a really good way. I really liked that. Critics, I think, or what I've heard, is that they'll say it's just flavor. That's all right by me if it's all good. So the other thing is I'm planning on rereading The Odyssey pretty soon, so I thought it would be fun to perhaps, I mean, not that it has a real connection, but read The Odyssey and then read Ulysses right afterwards. That would be pretty fun. Next up, and this is the last book that I got for myself, is the Miss Marple, The Complete Short Stories. This is sacrilegious what I'm about to say, but I have never read an Agatha Christie book or short story, ever. Isn't that crazy? I have seen many movie adaptations. The 1970-ish adaptation of Murder on the Orient Express and the Kenneth Branagh new movies. I loved those, and I love murder mystery movies, and I love the aesthetic of it, the coziness. And she's the greatest. And she's the #1 selling author of all time, I believe. So I thought this would be an interesting place to start. There's a story in here called Christmas Tragedy that I will read probably tomorrow. And yeah, this is just going to be a great thing to have to go back to. And then I hope to start with Miss Marple books and maybe move on to Hercule Poirot, but I'm really excited about that. And then these last three are books that I got for friends of mine and family members. Where should I start? I'll start with this one. It is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I read this book when I've read it a couple times now, probably 2 or 3 times, and I first read it when I was around 14 or 15, and it had a really, really profound impact on me. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and not in a wandering, I'm so lost, I don't know how to live way, just in a, I don't know what my passion or forever lifetime hobby / career will be, any of those things. I played piano at the time. And then I read this book, and I don't think it really like planted seeds in that way, but I did end up finding what this book describes as the personal legend. I don't know if you're not familiar with this book. A lot of it is about trying to find what is your personal legend, kind of what's your destiny, what are you trying to fulfill in your life. I have found that with music, me personally. I'm surrounded by musical equipment here, as you can see. There's a bass there, there's a keyboard and a guitar, and anyways, so music is my love. Although I love reading too, of course, and I'm getting this for a person. Enough about myself. I'm talking about myself way too much. I'm getting this for a person who's still exploring, kind of maybe trying to find what they want in the world. And of course, I don't believe that one person has one personal legend, or that there is a single way you should live your life, or a single passion you can find and devote your life to it. I think that's a totally awesome thing for people who do find it, but most people don't live their lives that way. Most people don't live their lives like Judo Ono, if you've seen the documentary here, Judo Dreams of Sushi, or Michael Jordan, those kinds of people who are totally devoted to one thing. Most people live just a more balanced lifestyle, but I think this is still a great book, just on a story surface level. And also for this person who I'm giving it to have as maybe just a voice that says, oh, I get it. You know, I'm also going through this life story and trying to figure out what my personal legend is. And that can sometimes be just nice to read on its own. The next book, you may have heard of it, is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, which is one of my favorite books of all time. One of the few books that I think is, perfect, just a perfect book. And I'm giving this to a person who is one of the funniest people I know, because this is one of the funniest books I know. This person who it's going to is a master at observing the little social intricacies that are happening all the time within groups of people, who relishes them and loves them and savors them in a more compassionate, empathetic way, I think, than Jane Austen always gives her characters. But nonetheless, I think this person who I'm giving this to will really, really like this book if they read it, hopefully soon. They've got to read this book at some point. I mean, they're a reader, so they've got to. But I just think Pride and Prejudice is one of the most delightful books to read ever. I actually have, like, one of my favorite reading memories ever associated with this is that I was in North Carolina at a local watering hole / natural water slide on a rock. Basically, a rock had if you've been to North Carolina, there's lots of these just boulders around, and the ones that just happen to find themselves in the middle of rivers get nicely eroded, and some of them form natural slides, not just like you can slide down a bumpy rock, but like a grooved slide. And I went to one of these with my family while I was reading Pride and Prejudice for the first time, and I I ended up wading out into the middle of like this lakeish area nearby. We're looking at the water slide right in front of me, and sat on a rock that had protruded up, and was just with my feet in the water reading the Mr. Collins proposal scene, and laughing out loud with like hysterics, basically, as all these children were coming down this water slide. Just, they weren't really looking at me or anything, but it was just a really great, fun life scene. And it's one of my favorite reading memories, and this book, it's laugh out loud funny. I hope the person who I'm giving it to for Christmas finds it laugh out loud funny too. And the last book that I have is a book for no one in particular, but it is a book that I love to give to people, and that is Mikhail Lermontov's A Hero of Our Time, which I just mentioned in the BookTube newbie tag as the reason why I discovered BookTube, from a Steve Donahue video that he did on this. I basically first came to A Hero of Our Time in college when I took a Russian literature class, and we read Princess Mary. We didn't read the whole thing. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with A Hero of Our Time, it's a book, very short book, told in 5 parts, I'm pretty sure. Princess Mary is the largest chapter by far. It comprises most of the work. The 3 preceding chapters are great, especially Bella, which is the opening chapter. But the thing I love about this book so much is the sequencing. The sequencing of Princess Mary, which is this epic beautiful romance story that is set, I mean, you can just see it here in the Caucasus, duels, horseback riding to dire ends. I don't even really know how to describe it, from this character named Pachorn, who is, you'll see if you read this, he's something. Anyways, it's an incredible, vast story, very literal, very, very tangible. And right after it follows a chapter, a very short chapter, that ends the book called The Fatalist, which is a hazy, dream-like shift into this intangible, dark, twilight world. And the contrast of those two things, of Princess Mary and then having The Fatalist right afterwards, is one of the most profound and, like, for me, profound cases of contrast in a book, giving it infinite depth to me. That feeling I get, I really, all I'm getting at is this feeling that I'm getting from reading this when I read that final chapter. Coming down from Princess Mary, it is unlike anything I've ever experienced in any work of art, ever. And as a musician, I think of this in musical terms, of course, and it makes me really want to make some sort of piece of music, maybe an album or something that has a vast story, narratively driven piece kind of near the end of the album as the penultimate song, and then at the very end have a very, very almost impressionistic, hazy, nightmarish song as this, like, sinking into, I don't want to say darkness because it's not necessarily evil, but sinking into something. That feeling that I get from this book is so good, and I just need to reread it. I have a copy. Actually, I think the place I'm in right now has multiple copies. But I love this cover, and the cover that I have from the new Penguin Classic is of a portrait of Lermontov, I believe, if not maybe just a portrait of a contemporary Russian man. But I like this cover better, so I'll probably end up gifting the other copy I have. Maybe I'll meet someone in the next 5 years of my life and just think, you've got to read this book. So yeah, that's my first book haul ever. I'm really excited to be doing a book haul. What's funny is that every single time I ever watch a book haul on BookTube, I don't know a single book, because most of the people making these books on BookTube are super well read, and they're just finding new books that they haven't read that are relatively very niche. But looking back on it, most of these are like classics. So you will probably know some of them, if not all of them. So I'm really, really excited to get to reading these. I'm reading The Tale of Genji right now, as I mentioned, but I'll probably read this Miss Marple short story tomorrow for fun. And then after I'm done with Genji, I might read this like version of Kidnapped and The Treasure Island. Ulysses will come down the line. I'm not going to make immediate reading plans for that. I'll have to be in the right mood. Maybe I'll read that in Dublin or something. But I'm really excited. I hope that people enjoy the gifts, and I hope you have a wonderful Christmas holiday season as well, reading, sharing books, stories with your friends and family. And yeah, thank you for tuning in and watching my first ever book haul. Hopefully there will be more in the future. Probably not. I'm not a big book haul person in general. Plus there's so much that I have that I want to read before I just start buying more books. But this was really fun. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will hopefully see you soon, BookTube. Thank you.